Okay, when we talk about the rise of Julius Caesar, what you need to remember is that Julius Caesar is going to be like a super majestic leader in Rome, okay? And the big thing that he's going to do is that during Sulla's reign in Rome, he's going to flee. But he returns after his death, and then he's going to begin a political career. Big thing with Julius Caesar is that he defends the poor. And you know that the lower class people and the commoners are going to really enjoy the fact that he is for the poor. He aligns with two other officials to form a triumvirate, which is the tri. If you see the tri at the beginning of the word, that means that they're ruled by three. And the three rulers will be Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus. Okay. Pompey will rule Rome. Crassus takes an army to go fight in the east, and Caesar takes an army to fight the Gauls in the west. Here are some of the problems that are going to happen with the first triumvirate, though. Crassus is going to die in battle, and then Caesar and Pompey are going to have like this beef, okay? It's going to be a power struggle. Pompey wants to crush Caesar. He doesn't like that Caesar's popular, and he doesn't want Caesar to be more popular than him. So it's going to be a power struggle, and ultimately what will happen is that there will be a civil war. Remember that a civil war is when people, individual groups of the same nation are fighting each other. So this is going to be Roman against Roman. Some are on Caesar's side, some are on Pompey's side. Now, what Pompey will do, though, is he will flee to Egypt, and he's looking for an ally. Remember we talked about with allies that those are people who are your friend, they have your back, okay? And what happens is when he gets there, he runs into Ptolemy, and he beheads him. Caesar kills Pompey, and then Cleopatra, the ninth, ends up coming into power, and she seduces Caesar. So make sure you write this down in your notes. Caesar will begin to rule Rome. He governs as a tyrant, but he does do good things as well. He has friends in the Senate, and they're not going to be good friends because they're going to conspire to assassinate him, including Mark Antony and Brutus, who is supposed to be like his best friend. And what they will do is on March 15th of 44 BC, he will be stabbed by 23 senators. And this is called the Ides of March, okay? And they always say beware of the Ides of March. And what's going to happen after Caesar's death is that the civil war will erupt again because now they do not have a leader. If you look at this picture here, this is the 23 senators are in the white garbs, and they are attacking Caesar, who has the red and the orange on. So he got done kind of dirty. When we talk about the second triumvirate, you have Octavian. Octavian will be Caesar's adopted son / nephew, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. What's going to happen with this second triumvirate is that it's going to end in a lot of jealousy and violence. Octavian is going to force Lepidus to retire, and Mark Antony falls in love with Cleopatra. So what happens is that Octavian accuses Mark Antony of trying to rule from Egypt. And what's going to happen is that there will be another civil war. Octavian versus Mark Antony. So Octavian marches to Egypt. Mark Antony and Cleopatra commit suicide once he arrives there. And Octavian will claim that he is going to restore the republic for Rome. He changes his name to Augustus, which means exalted one. I believe you have to fill that in on your handout. And it becomes a true one-man empire. So the significance of us breaking down from a triumvirate, which is ruled by three, to having one man ruling is that he's still going to have a consolidation of power, and he's still going to have this large empire. But instead of having two people to rule with him, he will have just himself who's running the show. When we talk about Pax Romana, it is going to be 200 years of Roman peace. And the Romans peak under Augustus. So what's going to happen is that Rome is going to expand. They're going to have a peaceful time. People are living prosperously, which remember you told me, guys, that prosperity means that you are living good or you're living well, okay? Rome is going to be 3 million square miles. They're going to have 60 to 80 million people, 1 million in the city of Rome alone. So this is talking about the whole empire. Trade is going to be based on agriculture, so they are farming, and they're even going to have silver coins used throughout the empire. It's easier, and it's a good currency, okay? When we talk about currency, I'm not talking about currency, the hot spita, I'm talking about money, okay? So here's the Roman Empire at its height. If you can look at the map, you can see that the red area is all the areas belonging to Rome. Don't forget, Rome is the little dot on the boot, which is Italy, country Italy. And you see all the yellow areas are areas that they did not expand to. When we talk about a vast trade network, Rome is going to have it going on, okay? They're going to trade with China and India. And this trade route is called the Silk Road. You need to remember this. And what's going to happen is that Rome is going to establish these complex networks of roads between the empires, okay, and in their empire. And it says that the saying will be that all roads lead to Rome, okay? If you can look at the picture, you can see some of the things that they're trading: almonds, camels, jade, mint, wool, gold, and silver, silk, cotton, sugar, tea, all of it, okay? If you look at this map and on this pathway, this Silk Road, that's where everybody's trading, okay? Now, Augustus, the reign of Augustus. First of all, Augustus' empire is going to stretch from Mesopotamia to Spain and from North Africa to Great Britain, okay? And that's how big the Roman Empire is during this time. Augustus, he glorified Rome with buildings and monuments, so he's making Rome beautiful. He created civil service. Civil service is when you have a job that is working for the government, okay? But what's going to happen is that he's going to die in 14 AD. He's going to have no successor, which means he has nobody to pick up where he left off. And this could lead to civil war. But what the Senate chooses to do is they pick his son Tiberius, okay? And this starts the idea of a succession pattern, okay? And what will occur after this is the era of 5 good emperors. And these 5 good emperors will rule Rome. They will do beautiful and wonderful things for Rome. Rome will be prosperous. It'll end with Marcus Aurelius in 180. Now, the legacy of the Greco-Roman Empire. Remember that. You have to understand that the Romans did take a lot of culture from Greece. So when we say Greco-Roman Empire, that is cultural diffusion. So when we talk about this empire, the culture was a blend of Greek, Hellenistic, which deals with Alexander, and Roman culture. The arts were realistic. They had mosaics, which are beautiful stones, pieces that are put together to form pictures. They have frescoes, which are painting and bas-relief. Also, they have literature and philosophy. And Latin is going to develop into the Romance languages such as French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. The language of the Roman Catholic Church until the 20th century will be Latin. And when we talk about architecture, they're going to have the arch, the aqueducts, roads, and the dome. Which, if you look on your handout, there should be a picture of the Colosseum, which deals with archways and like a dome type style. When we talk about the decline of the Roman Empire, what's going to happen is we're going to have inflation, overworked soil, and attacks by barbarians, and trade disrupted by pirates. So you're going to have pirates and barbarians attacking Rome. The money is going to be inflated. There's going to be the fact that Rome was so disciplined and everybody was very loyal, that loyalty is going to break down, okay? Soldiers are going to start to fight for their generals who are leading them, not necessarily Rome as a whole. So that causes a division. Constantine will eventually rise as emperor of Rome, and he will move the capital from Rome to Constantinople, which is named after him. And what he's going to do, and this is a big mistake, and you know this is going to leave this civilization very vulnerable, is that he divides the empire into 2 pieces, east and west, okay? He also ends the persecution of Christians, because Constantine is going to be the first Roman emperor to drop his polytheistic ways and move towards Christianity. So here's a map. You can see the pink is the western and the orange is the yellow, or the orange is the eastern, Invaders. We'll have a couple group of invaders. Remember that the empire is divided, so it looks weak. So the Huns will come from the west, and they will be led by Attila the Hun, and they are from the Mongol group. The Visigoths are from the north, which is present-day Germany and Romania, and then you have the Vandals from the north, which is Germany. If you look at this map here, you can see that the invasions of the Roman Empire, you can see that the Huns are green, the Vandals are blue, and they're coming from Carthage in northern Africa. You can see the Visigoths are the dark purple, the Ostrogoths are the light purple. So just take a look at this map for a second. Then moving on, when we talk about Rome's last emperor, you have Romulus Augustus. He was 14 years old when he took over. He was deposed by the German king Odoacer, which that means that there will be no Roman to ever rule again. So this 14-year-old boy who was supposed to take over this empire was crushed by a German king. And the western half of the empire is split up. Britain is taken over by the Anglos and the Saxons, which later they'll be called the Anglo-Saxons. The Spanish will be taken over by the Visigoths. North Africa, the Vandals, and Italy will be the Ostrogoths, okay? And the eastern half survives, the eastern half of the empire survives until 1453, but then it's going to be conquered by the Ottoman Empire. And this will become Constantinople. Constantinople will change its name to Istanbul, which still exists today. Now, we're moving on to ancient civilizations and their interactions. Connecting Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. So the Silk Road, what you need to understand is that the Silk Road is going to be a complex system of trade routes, and it connected Asia, Europe, and North Africa. That is 3 continents in itself. The goods, they're going to have goods, religion, and culture are going to spread among these roads. So this is cultural diffusion at its finest, y'all. Do not forget this. Now, and it leads to change in civilizations. Eventually, though, there will be conflict, especially religious conflict. Can you think of a couple religions? Now, in Africa, what's going to be going on is that they're going to have the Ghanaian or the Ghana Empire, okay? And they're going to import cloth. They're going to have blockades or brocades and copper, salt, gold. The camel caravans are going to be linked with West Africa, and it's going to link them to Europe, the Middle East, the Silk Road, okay? And what's going to happen is that they invaded in the 11th century, and they're going to be absorbed by the Mali Empire in the 13th century. Okay, here's a map. All right, when we talk about the Mali Empire, it took over most of Western Africa in 1240 AD. They are famous for weaving, mining, and architecture. But here's the decline. The decline is that they're going to have civil war. They're going to have attacks from the Songhai Empire, and the arrival of the Portuguese in Africa led to its decline. This is a mosque right here. Now, last but not least, the Americas. Who was there? Okay, and all I'm going to tell you about the Americas is that it's relatively isolated from the rest of the world. The Native Americans originally crossed to North America by the Bering Sea Land Bridge. If you look here on the top of the map by Alaska, you can see that. North America, we have a couple groups of people. The Hohokam, the Anazi, the Hopewell, the Mississippian, the Inuits, who everybody wants to call Eskimos, but they're actually called the Inuits, the Iroquois, and the Plain Indians. Then in Mesoamerica, you have, which will be Mexico and Central America, you have the Olmec, the Zapotec, the Toltec, the Mayans, and the Aztecs. Okay, we're going to learn more about the Mayans and the Aztecs later in a unit dealing with exploration. And last but not least, we have South America, which has the Chavan, the Moche, the Nazca, and the Incas. And as you can see, this is Machu Picchu. The Incas are going to be a civilization that you learn about later. They are located in Peru. Big deal. They are a big deal, and they will be taken over later by Europeans. So I hope that you got all your notes written down. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand and ask Miss Cannon. Also, do not forget that you can fast forward, rewind, and pause it to write things down. Thank you.